Here we go. Well, welcome everyone to our January 25th, 2022 Seniors Network Mastermind session. And tonight we have all the way from New Zealand, Geoff Talbot. And he's going to kick us off with some good stuff. So Geoff, the floor is yours.
Welcome. Kia ora, everybody. That's how we say hello to New Zealand sometimes. So good to be with you. My microphone and camera just changed. What's that about? So good to have you guys with us. I'm going to share my screen. Would love to know in the chat box what the weather is like where you are right now. Just pop in the chat. What's the weather like? Here, it is a beautiful, fine day. It is actually Wednesday. So we are a day ahead. So I just want you to know that tomorrow is going to be an amazing day for you. 52 and rainy, cold and damp, sunny. All right. Well, just know that tomorrow is going to be incredible. As we jump in, I'm going to share my slides here. I want to do a teaching that's going to take us about 50 minutes probably. And I want us to look at how you can get off-market listings from social media. So listings right now, very, very important. And we're seeing a lot of success in our training program. So I want to give you guys a heads up on what's possible and give you some techniques and tips. Rules of engagement for today when I run these things. This is the only accent I have. I could try and talk in your accent, but it'll be terrible. And when I try it around home, my wife's American. Yeah, so I'm not allowed to do that. My camera keeps on turning off and I have no idea why it's doing that. Let me just change cameras 1 second and see if that works better. We'll try there. Can you see me now? No, yeah, I'm a little bit fuzzier, but here we go. Thank you. Don't make me beg to get you to interact in the chat. These things are much better when people are active, not passive. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions and get you to use the chat as much as possible. If you grab a single sheet of white paper or a couple of sheets of white paper, I think that will help you out a bunch because I'm going to do some models and some drawing. So once you've got some white paper, wave it at the camera like this so I can see it. I'm not seeing any white paper yet. Yep, I see some. Great. That's awesome. I'm going to give you something really cool at the end. And you're probably going to need to join our Facebook group to do it, but it's a free Facebook group. If at any stage anybody gets bored, you have full permission to unmute and yell out stretch, and we will all stretch. No boring Zoom calls are allowed. So be sure of that. That's amazing. And join our Facebook group at the end. It'll be great too. So the goal in the next 60 minutes is I'll show you how to get some off-market listings from social media and give you some tools to do that. When we think about getting listings from social media, what I'd love to do is find out how you're currently going. And so you don't have to draw this out. But if we think of it this way, there are people who are getting no listings from social media, and there are people who are getting loads of listings. So if, say, you're getting more than $5 million worth of production in listings from social, you're probably going to be a 10 on our scale here. If you're getting none, you're a 0. If you're getting around $2.5 million production, you're probably a 5. So where are you on that? Are you like 0? Are you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Are you getting more than $5 million production? Where are you? So just pop that in the chat. On this scale, 0 listings, you're a 0. More than 5 million production in listings from social media, you're a 10. Where are you? 3, 0, 0. Lots of zeros. Yep. 3. Pop that in there. 0, 0, 0. I'm a 0. Don't feel bad. That's why we're here. Great. Actually, that question should be, can I reframe that question? I've asked it incorrectly. When it comes to your real estate career, pardon me, ignore everything we've done so far. How much of your business is listings? If you are $5 million plus in listings, you're a 10. Don't worry about the social media part. If you are 0, no listings at all, you're 0. So just in terms of your ability to get listings, how much of your business is from listings? More than 5 million, 10, okay, 5. Yep, so you're getting it from other sources. Go. Sorry for confusing you there. 0 still. 4. 0. Cool. All right. Now on the other scale, pardon me, grade 1, how much of your business is traditional, and then how much of it is from social media? So are you getting loads of clients from social media? Like we have people getting 15 or 20, then you're a 10. If you're getting no clients from social media, you're 0. Where are you here? 4. Great. Great. 2. Getting some. Right. Where are you here? 0. Again, apologies if I confused you a little there. 0. Excuse the man doing the gardening outside. Is that crazy? You can hear a man gardening in New Zealand. 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, cool. So draw a line where they intersect. Most people are going to be down here. If you're down here, it's possible using traditional methods and not getting listings will be quite exhausting because you're having to work with a lot of buyers right now in the market, and that's not fun, right? So you're probably going to be here. If you are getting business from social media but not very many listings, you're gambling a little bit because you don't have the leverage that you need. If you're up here and you're getting loads of listings but they're from traditional methods, right now you may be held hostage a little bit because those traditional methods are not giving you the inventory that you would really want. But if you're able to leverage business from social, you're going to really win right now because you're getting, having conversations with people before they even enter the market. And so that's where we want to be. We want to get you listings from social. That's our goal today. If you'd like to be in the green, just type green in the chat box. That'd be helpful for me, just so I know that we're in the same, we're trying for the same thing. Green. Yep. 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 Me. Green, 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 green. Thank you. Thank you. Very cool. So no matter where you are, that's our goal, to get you there. This is some of the success we've seen just this year. We've got Melinda here, we've got Robin, and we've got Dolores. Dolores is in the seniors market for sure. Melinda, using one question on Facebook, got 2 listing leads from it. Off market, through the strategies we'll share a bit about today. Robin got 3 buyers and a couple of listings, I believe, already this year from these techniques. And then Dolores got a listing last week from Facebook doing the same thing. So super powerful stuff, very simple when you know how. And so we're going to show you a bit about how to do this today. The framework that we use here to help you get listings is really simple. There are 3 things that you must do. You must, 1, avoid the noise. So draw this out if you can. It's a very simple triangle. You must avoid the noise. Secondly, you must be building foundations of trust on social media. Thirdly, here, you want to have a really simple system that's guaranteed to get you results. If it's not a system, then we're kind of just getting lucky. So does that make sense? 1, avoid the noise. 2, foundations of trust. 3, have a simple system. We're going to do a little bit of teaching on each one of these 3 things right now. Can't teach you everything in this short time, but I will teach you some things that are really valuable. Let's talk about noise. Can people just wave at me if they find social media to be a pretty noisy place in general? Like a lot of noise. Yeah, right. If you could turn your camera on, if it's not on, that would be great. It'd be awesome to see you all. It's helpful for me, by the way. So let's talk about avoiding the noise. Hey, Teresa, great to see you here. Avoiding the noise. So I'd love to do a little test. And Donald, I'm going to need you to help me here. When I ask you to, I'm going to get you to unmute everybody. Could you do that? When I ask you to, not just yet, but in a second. So let's talk about and do a little noise experiment. I need everybody close to their camera, ready to talk. This is to show you the disadvantage of noise. It's a metaphor for what happens online. So in a second, we're going to unmute all the lines. And when we unmute them, I'm going to get you just to speak, and I'm going to get you to say loudly and proudly why you're a great realtor, your best things about you in real estate. Everybody is going to talk at the same time. So Donald, can you unmute everybody?
I'm trying to figure out where to do it.
If you go to participants at the top.
There we go.
And then unmute everybody. Ready?
Participants at the top. So I've just got invite under participants.
Can you see unmute everybody?
No, I don't see it anywhere.
Who's running the Zoom call here?
Me.
I don't
see an option
Zoom,
for it.
Unmute all. Okay, we'll get everybody to unmute themselves.
Yeah,
go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, unmuted.
Unmute Teresa. Yep. Great. Amy, could you unmute? Isabel, Monica, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah.
Monica Cahy. Great. Ready? All right. So what I want you guys to do right now is on the count of 3, say out loud, loudly and proudly why you're a great realtor. 3, 2, 1, go.
Excellent service, unique,
Wonderful, knowledgeable.
Right. You may mute yourselves again. I couldn't hear a single thing. And this is exactly how most people in real estate use social media. This is how we build trust, is we tell everyone how great we are and hope that somebody amongst all that noise could pick out our voice, remember who we are, and understand how to contact us. It's just a big shit show, pretty much. Let's try a second method where we use chat. You can mute yourself again if you need to. Thank you. That was great. You guys all took part. Now we're going to use the chat. So get the chat ready, and don't type this in until I'm ready and tell you to. Don't hit enter until I say, but what I want you to do is to start writing in chat without hitting enter why you are a great realtor. So just start writing in chat and we'll hit enter at the same time. Okay, I'll give you 15 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enter. So it's a little bit better because we can scroll up the chat, but imagine if there were hundreds of people here, right? Just hit enter, right? There's still a lot of noise here. Calm experience. I can come back and I can see, but it's still tricky, right? So what's a better way for you to get past the noise on social media? Here's the better way, and we'll talk a bit more about this. What if it was just you and me talking on the phone or in a message chat? Just you and me. No one else is involved in the conversation, right? We can actually have a proper exploration. And what if you asked a simple question and let the other person talk rather than you talking all the time? And that's what we want to talk about today to help you to avoid the noise. How can we get people in your sphere of influence, in your market, away from all the noise on social media into a conversation with you? And how can we get them to talk? How can we get them to talk? Because that's what's going to help you generate business and off-market listings. So maxim number 1, if you want to get heard, you have to get out of the noisy marketplace. You're not going to see success and get listings off market just by posting on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever, or on Instagram or on TikTok, wherever you want to be. It's not going to work because there's so much noise. You might get lucky once, but you're not going to have a system. Where there is a lot of noise, if you think about a crowded room and you have something very important to say, most likely I don't grab a hold of Donald and shout at him or just shout at him from a distance. I most likely pull him in close and whisper something valuable if it's very important. And so that's what we want to do on social, is we want to pull people close and whisper value rather than shouting or bragging about ourselves. So that's important. Maxim number 3, to get listings from social right now: care first, sell later. Care first, sell later. if you just take people to a private space, start a messenger conversation, and sell to them straight away, that's not going to work either. So this is where we are right now. If we think about avoiding the noise flow, this is what we teach. And this is what's been working well for Robin, Dolores, and a bunch of other people in our training. We have social media content, and we'll talk about the purpose of that. And we have, from there, we take people from our content to private messages, and then we go from the phone to the phone or in person. So that's the flow. People will put their hands up because of our social media posts. We'll get them to talk to us. Donald was just saying before the call began, he used one of our questions. He's in our program, and he has 30 people already putting their hand up just for a conversation right now. They've answered his question pretty much, right? That's great. That's 30 people he's talking to. From there, we want to go to Messenger, and we want to form a strong connection. Notice we're not selling, but there are some qualification scripts that we have. We may give you one of those at the end. And from there, Messenger, we want to go to a phone call to provide solutions based on need. If you're talking to people, you'll sell, and we'll go over who you should be talking to in this call. But does that make sense? Could you just give me a wave if it makes sense so far? Yep, great, awesome. Here's someone that did this just before Christmas, actually. He asked a question. He came from contribution, took people off Facebook into Messenger. This is Mark Alexander, set a $1.3 million listing appointment in Austin from doing this, from off market. The person hadn't talked to a single other realtor, was just thinking about moving, asked the right question, got him into a conversation, got a client. So that's where we want to be. So very brief discussion at the start. Curious what you guys are thinking just from this little snapshot so far. How might you use social media differently? What's ticking over in your brains? Just pop that in the chat. What's different? What might you do differently? What's your aha moment so far? Pop that in the chat. Please don't make me beg. You promised. You said at the start I wouldn't have to beg. Pop it in the chat. What might you do different? Be less random and more strategic. Post helpful hints for home sellers, perhaps, right? Open to suggestions. Great. Rupesh, that's a great way to be. Anyone else? What's something you might think about doing differently? Using social media for agent attraction. Great idea. And it's the same process. Like, get them talking about their life or their world. Start a conversation in Messenger. If there is a need, take it to the phone. Reach my target market differently. Yeah, love it. Awesome. Great. Start a conversation. What we do, everything we do is about generating conversations. So our people will typically start 25 conversations a week on Monday, minimum, and we'll do it together in a live call. And from there, they are having a conversation. They are talking to people about real estate from that. But you want to have a nice system in place. So we talked a bit about avoiding the noise, and the way to avoid the noise is to get them into Messenger and get them on the phone and not use social media to sell. Let's talk about foundations of trust. Using social media to build trust. There are some mistakes that people make when it comes to trust. And if I think about them like this, the biggest mistake, number one, for people when it comes to trust is in real estate is they start from a position of mistrust. If someone cold calls me right now on the phone, I start from a position of mistrust. How did you get my number? Is the thought going through my mind. If someone comes to the front door, knocks on the door, what do you want? I don't know who you are, right? If someone starts a cold Facebook message conversation with me, unless they're very skilled, what do they want, right? We start from a position of mistrust. It's very hard to get back. So our goal is to get that right. Let's start from a position of trust. Biggest mistake number two is you try and talk your way into a position of trust. So I'm going to tell Donald 5 different things about how great I am, and then he's going to want to work with me. I'm going to skite about my production. There's better ways to build trust. In fact, true rapport building involves you assuming trust and demanding responsiveness. So sometimes we work so hard to build trust in ways that we don't even need to. And that trying hard is sensed as a desperation or an anxiety. So we don't want to do that. We want to find other ways to build trust. And then number three, biggest mistake of number three, you reek of an ulterior motive. And so I want to talk about how we can get rid of any ulterior motive, how we can really care first. Because if you start conversations from genuine contribution and care, you're going to get more off-market work than you can want. So the trust framework that we use, again, you might want to work through this or draw this out, is understanding where people in your sphere of influence and on social media are right now. What's going on in the world, right? Donald was, again, sharing about his question, and I think your question that you asked, have you ever been unfriended by people on Facebook for certain reasons, political reasons or religious reasons, whatever it was, really does show a little bit of the state of the world. And so if we think about the world right now, it's quite disconnected because of the pandemic, because of the political framework in the world, whatever it is, people are quite disconnected from each other. In fact, in many cases, they're disconnecting from their own family members because of values or views. That's how disconnected we are. No, I have no commentary on it other than to say we're disconnected. The second, so instead of taking people, when it comes to building trust, understanding this disconnection, if you can shift that and form strong connections with people on social media, you're going to really build trust fast. So when you start a messenger conversation with people, your first goal is to establish a strong connection through listening, getting them to talk, getting them to share. Then you can go after the opportunities after that. That's number one. Second thing is, if we think about the world today, is people are actually quite bored. People are actually quite bored. And we know this because when we give them a chance to answer a question, sometimes I've had this year 1,500 comments on a post. People sharing, 1,500 people sharing stuff, right? Or over 1,000, some of them were mine. But that's, people are quite bored. So what we want to do is be genuinely curious in others. When we're genuinely curious about others, and you're genuinely curious about people in your sphere of influence and what's going on in their lives, you can build a lot of trust. Curiosity, not nosiness, but genuine interest in others will build trust, and it'll get you referred, and it'll give you opportunities that you don't currently have. So we want to connect, we want to be curious. And then the other thing that will build trust, I think, if we really think about it, is, and I want to be delicate here, realtors don't always have the best reputation amongst consumers. Not you guys, you're all great. And I don't know if loathe is probably too strong, but when it comes to trust, people are very suspicious of salespeople in general. So instead of loathing you, we want you to genuinely care about people. And so as we go after off-market listings, if you think about what we've shared so far, we want you to avoid the noise. So Amy, Jody, Teresa, Rupesh, get people into private conversations and genuinely connect with them. Be very curious about where they are in their life, including their real estate journey, and very much care for them. Now, the care can come from the fact that you want to make sure that their real estate legacy, their real estate journey is taken well care of, right? It can just care for them. So that's where we are right now. Get them into a private space where there's no noise, connect, be curious, and care. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Great. Good. And then from here, I'm not even sure what's on my next slide. So we want to use social media to do that. Just what I said. So far, we've talked about avoiding the noise, coming from a place of care, connection, and curiosity to build trust. But you really need a system to do this, right? If you're thinking about this so far, you're like, well, how do I do this in a way that scales? How do I do this in a way that allows me to get those listings, those off-market listings? You need a simple system, a way to nurture your sphere of influence that doesn't take forever. How do you do this in a way that will generate off-market listings? So that's my step here. So I wanted to take a little survey again of you guys here. And I want us to think about our conversations. So in your chat box, either text message, DM on Facebook or Instagram, since the start of the year, how many conversations have you had with people who own properties in the areas you want to sell? How many conversations have you had? Doesn't have to have been about real estate. Just have you been talking to people who own properties in the areas you want to sell? If you've had 0 conversations, you can just type 1 into the chat box. If it's happened or happens like once in a blue moon for you, type 2. If it's sporadic, put 3. If it's inconsistent, put 4. If you feel like you have a simple system, put 5. Right. So seeing 1s, 2s, 3s, 3s, 3s. Yeah. Great. 2s, 4s. That's a real mix. That's normal. If we're here, we're kind of red. Like if we're not talking to people who own properties, we're unlikely to get off-market opportunities because we're not having conversations. We're waiting for, if it's a blue moon, most likely it's still red because it's passive. You're waiting for people to message you or you just do it when you get a sniff of something, right? So there's no real system. If it's sporadic, you probably do some good stuff sometimes, but you're not really sure what works. And so you don't have a full pipeline in your red still. If it's inconsistent, you probably know what to do or you have some ways of working it, but the system isn't fully ingrained in your workflow. And maybe you lack some accountability, but you do get some results. It's a 4. And then where we want everyone to be is to have a system that gets them talking to people who own properties. Simple system. Because what we're seeing in our training is when people start conversations, have the right framework, come from a place of care, connection and curiosity, they are getting listings. The people who start conversations get them. The people who don't start them don't get any. It kind of makes a lot of sense to me. So let's have a look at the next slide here. My slide deck is a bit slow. Here's Dana Riley in our training. Worked really hard at having conversations. This is from last year. Had only done 11 transactions a year was her record before we worked together. We shifted her to a conversation model. So everything she does, she has to have conversations. Last year, she did 30 transactions. Her price point's gone up because she's having conversations with people who own properties at a higher price point. She went out for a $2.5 million listing appointment last week because she's talking to those people. So if you want to shift your price point and you want to do more listings, you need to be having conversations with more of those people. Does that make sense? Great. Awesome. It's kind of changed her life, which was great. So if we think here, without a system to get off-market listings, we're kind of stuck on a roller coaster. They come to us when we get lucky. We really, with a system, you're kind of driving the roller coaster and you're in full control. So the market is crazy. There's a shortage of inventory, apparently. But if you're talking to people who own properties, you're going to be able to solve problems, figure out where they are in their journey, fill up your pipeline, get them an appraisal, have them on a property search when their ideal house comes up. They know. So you really want to be talking to people right now and not just assuming there's no inventory. I'm not going to do anything in this regard. It's a perfect time to be talking to people who own properties. I want to briefly share our conversation funnel that we use. It doesn't have the specific framework, but I think it will be helpful. Here's an idea of the stats and how it works. Again, you might want to draw it out. But if you start conversations with 25 people who own properties every week, it's very doable. We have people who will start 120, not necessarily who own properties, but 120 conversations. If we start those, what we want to do is we want to use questions on social media, and we have a whole engagement cycle, but questions that get people who own properties to put their hands up. And we can do 1 or 2 of those a week without boring people, and they can be super engaging. So we have some questions in our database around this, which will get 200 people commenting sometimes, if you have a good sized sphere of influence on Facebook. But our goal is really just to get 25 people to put up their hand for a conversation. Of those 25, we want to move them to Messenger. And we know that in Messenger, which is very flexible for your time, if you start them all on a Monday, about 12 or 13 of them will be good people for you. They won't be overly suspicious. They'll engage with you. They'll allow you to form a connection. And these 12 or 13 will buy or sell a house sometime in the next 3 or 4 years. But they can refer you right now. From Messenger, what we're looking for is, we know statistically, of 25 people who own properties, if you talk to 25 people who own properties in your area, 1 to 2 of them are going to look to list their property in the next 4 to 6 months. 1 to 2. So we're looking to take those people to phone call and come from a place of contribution. Some people do it all in Messenger. That's fine. But that's what you need to do. Does that make sense? Are there any questions on that so far in terms of using social? We want to have a flow. That's why the system is important. Start them early in the week. Know what to say, obviously. Form a connection. Know how to move them to Messenger. And you know how to move them offline and know what to do. I can't give you all that information today, but if you have that system in place, then you're going to do great, even if you're a little clumsy. People do well. I have one realtor who's doing great. And I'm honestly not sure whether I would buy a house off her, because she's socially quite awkward, but she's still seeing success from simply connecting and starting conversations. You don't necessarily even have to be amazing at it. Obviously, you want to get better. We had one lady last year about this time, I'm not sure whether it was later than this time, when there was a snowstorm in Texas. She sent 100 people a message in the middle of the blizzard that said, "Hey, it's Kirsten here. You've been on my mind. Are you warm? Is there anything you need? Let me know." 100 people, she sent them that message. Pretty simple, right? Nothing salesy about it. She had about 65 people reply in 1 hour. I guess they had nothing else to do, right? They were bored. What else are they doing? Some people said, "You made me cry. You're the only person who's asked me how I'm doing." Some seniors, actually, right? She got 3 listings in a snowstorm in Texas from that post by connecting, starting conversations. Didn't try for them, wasn't absent, right? She was present. Everyone else was thinking, this is a bad time to reach out to people because they're so busy and stressed. I won't. She pushed forward in the right way and succeeded for her business. So when we think about this here, we want to do all these things. We want to avoid the noise. We want to build financial foundations of trust. And we want a really simple way of doing it. What's one change that you're thinking of making from what we've talked about? What's one change you think you might make? Otherwise, you just listen to me talk and we don't grow. So what might be one change you might make?
Well, I'll definitely be using that last one and sending messages during the next snowstorm even.
That's awesome. Actually, whenever there is a break, if you're thinking relationally and conversationally, whenever there's a break in normality, is a great chance to have a conversation. We had people when Facebook crashed, Facebook, Instagram, like a bunch of social media accounts crashed for about a day or half a day late last year. We had people start conversations via email with that, and also via text. Huge results. They're like, hey, Facebook's down and I was thinking of you. It doesn't even make sense, but it's context for starting a conversation, and that's all you need. We had people use the 2020 election results when there was like chaos after the election. We had people send notes out to people. I know things are really weird right now. I hope you're doing okay. Huge results with people forming connections, because the normal fabric where we protect ourselves from engaging with other humans, whenever that's broken, Jody, it's a great chance to have a conversation. You have permission, right? It's like if you've ever been in a stressful or traumatic situation, what do people do? They start being much kinder to each other. They start caring more. And so you're always looking for context for conversations. Here we go. Get more local people on social media. Absolutely. That's very important. For some of you, you're going to need to increase the number of local people that you're connected to on social, because you'll run out of people to talk to. Some of you are going to have to shift and go, oh my goodness, I wanted to sell in this neighborhood for so long, but I need to be honest. The reason I haven't is I don't have a presence there. I don't know anyone there. I'm not talking to anybody there. So let's shift that up. We've had people use Facebook alone to add 700 new conversations in 1 week. They moved to an area. There were 700 entrepreneurial businesswomen in Northwest Arkansas in 1 week, because she didn't know anybody. So she said, let's solve this problem. Let's get some people for me to talk to. Otherwise, I'm going to have nobody. Now, that's a lot. To me, it's too many, but it was a competition and she won it. But steadily, you want people who own properties, you want them coming into your social sphere. You want that growing. You want people who don't belong going out and people who do belong coming in. So Amy wants to be connected to way more, probably, local people at the price point she wants to sell, who she really likes. Like, there should be people you care about, not just price point. And that will allow your business to grow. But if it's static and you're not getting new people coming in, it won't work so well. I'm saying expand local conversations, right? More local promotion and online presence in area markets, more conversations, get more local people on social media. Amazing. Awesome. So we help people with this pretty significantly and pretty seriously. I think we have 65 people working the system right now and getting off-market clients through this. If that's something you want to find out about, you should message me. I'll just put my Facebook Messenger here and we'll just have a chat. We'll figure out if it's right for you. If it's not, there's no problem. And I also want to give you guys something. So you can send me a message there. That's in the chat. It should work. Just say, Geoff, your accent's cool or something like that. In Messenger, that's fine. Then I'll know it's from this group. What you want to, what we're also going to give you, and I'll get you to join our Facebook group so I know who you are as well, is we have a specific chat framework that we've been using. So it really spelled out. Start the conversation with this, then say this, then say this, then wait, and then engage the people in this way. And then there's a specific phrase that we've found that's been filling up people's pipelines quite well. I want to give that to you, but you need to get it from me now because it's specifically related to the start of the new year. And if you wait, obviously, until March, it would just be weird. So you want to use it before probably January runs out. So yes, Amy says, build a relationship with us and get us to message you. Exactly. We use exactly the same methods. Let me show you our Facebook group so you can join it. We do lots of free stuff here. Just trying to find my Google Chrome. Here we go. And you'll see our group here, which is the perfect group for you guys, is called, that is not the name. It's called Mastering Your Sphere of Influence. So I'll pop that in the chat. And if you just put in a request to join, we'll give you a bunch of free stuff, including that framework. So go ahead and join the group. That'd be awesome. And we can help you some more if you're not already a member. Are there any questions about this for me? I've got about 10 minutes. So you might as well, Donald, just do a bit of a ask Geoff anything type session if you want.
Yeah, go right ahead. Anybody who's got any questions, feel free to open up your mics. But I can tell you firsthand, Geoff has, I'm in that Facebook group Geoff just shared, and there's lots of golden nuggets in there. There's lots of really good information that is there for free and for anybody, to use and to modify and tweak it to what works best for you. But I will tell you, there's some really good information out there.
Yeah, we come from let's build relationships with your sphere of influence, knowing that we don't want to be too transactional, too short-sighted with people I'm talking about the realtors in your sphere of influence, because if you are, you miss out on that opportunity that there are plenty of people you're connected to who just need to be inspired a bit more to tell their friends about you. And so, yes, you want to go after those off-market opportunities, finding out, do people have moves planned in 2022, right? It's essentially part of the framework we'll give you. But beyond that is this ability for you to build partnerships via social media and to get new people in. And, you want to foster the ability to build relationships online. It's very pandemic proof. It gives you the ability to form strong connections. I've never met Donald before in my life face to face, but we feel like we know each other quite well now. That's all happened digitally. It's all happened through conversations. He's helping me, I'm helping him. It's pretty cool. So any other questions about what we've shared today?
So, Geoff, I have a question.
Sure.
So one of the things we do with promoting to seniors is I've got a lot of books that I've read, and this particular one, it says, what are we going to do about mom and dad? So I think that the audience is, kids that have parents that might be anywhere in the country, but their parents maybe live here, so how I've thought of putting that book on, Facebook or Instagram and offering it as free, like I'll send you a copy of this book. Is this kind of down the lines you're talking about?
My initial thoughts is a great question. Thank you, Teresa. I've seen you around online, but I've never seen you in person. It's great to see you. One of the things that I immediately thought of was, what's your goal here? Your first goal, from my perspective, should be to have as many conversations with those children of parents who you'd like to help as possible. So your goal is conversations. Well, parents and family everyone has one pretty much, are a great conversation starter. So the book is a great giveaway, and you could just say who wants it. But what if the goal of the conversation, so let me slow it down a bit. If you were asked a question on Facebook, for example, like, how close to your parents do you live now? Like, how close to your parents to where you live now? Or do you live within walking distance? I don't know, whatever the question is, but something gets people saying how close they are. Or asking people about who are they closest to? Who are you closest to? Your mum or your dad, right? People will say. And from there, you can start a little conversation, and maybe you get them into Messenger, and then you have a goal of, I want to give them the book. Now, if you give me that gift personally, hey, I've got this great book for you, I think it will help you. That builds so much trust, whether I read the book or not. So there's lots of ways you can use those books. But I think your primary goal from a relationship building process should be, can I start 25 conversations a week with people whose parents are living in the areas I want to sell, or whatever it is? Does that make sense? I don't have the exact strategy, but I think along that line is good. Yeah, Jody.
So it sounds like, and I'm sure I've heard this before, but you build the relationship before offering the gift. Build the trust, because before you give them giving them the gift's going to build trust, but have the relationship first. So if you're like, I think what and make sure I'm understanding this correctly, is you're suggesting they build the relationship with the people, and then to secure the trust or to make it go farther, then you can
give the gift
or whatever. But if we just give the gift, that's not building trust. The conversation is building the trust. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like if I just give the gift to everybody, like we all know people who have written books that probably weren't as successful as they would like, and they start just giving them away, kind of hoping that someone finds it valuable. Well, the value of the gift is not very good in this case, because you just gave it away for free. So some people will think, well, can't be very good if she's giving it away, right? Whereas I can't stress this enough, building a strong connection in Messenger or in a chat situation, if you're working remotely from somebody, opens up all sorts of possibilities. I mean, this is sort of behind the curtain a bit, but I've asked people incredibly personal questions in chat, and they've not even blinked an eye at answering them. Like, for example, how much did you earn last year, right? That's a very personal question. If there is no connection, they will tell me to take a hike. They'll block me. They'll ignore me, right? Like if I just send any of you that question, you would be horrified. It's inappropriate at that time, right? But if there's a strong enough connection being established, authority being built, if they can see that I'm coming from a place of care, then that question is fine. And so in your case, and in Teresa's case, and maybe all of your cases, if you send someone a question about their parents' health, for example, with very low amount of connection, you know what you're going to look like? You're going to look like a predator as a realtor. Like, I'm not so, you know, are your mom and dad healthy? Do you think you'll have them with you in a couple of years? Right? For example, would be, oh my goodness, they're just going around looking for old people who are about to die. Like, it's terrible. But the same information could be gleaned in a much more gentle way. Like if I was doing that, I would share, you know, my dad passed away in 2016. My mum, we came back to New Zealand to be with her. She's 86. She's super frail. We might talk a bit more, and I might say something very revealing, like, I am struggling a lot right now because she's in a retirement home and her every day is the same. And I don't know what to talk to her about when I get with her. And so it's kind of boring and awkward because I don't know, like, what do you do today, Mum? Well, not much, same as yesterday. Like, so if I start to share some of my experience with them, and then I ask you, well, what about your parents? Where are they at? Wow, you know, they're in Florida right now, but they're going to move into, I just get that information, right? Because of the connection. And we're always trying to establish mutual and equal connections. And one of the mistakes that realtors will often make, especially if they come from too much of a service-orientated training, like I'm going to serve, and eventually you give me my business, is that the other person doesn't have a clue who you are because you've served them. So the relationship isn't equal. In fact, you're way underneath them, and then they get surprised when they go use another realtor sometimes. You're like, I did all this stuff for you, and you went and used somebody else. Well, there was never a mutual connection established. And so make sure we always try and get like 2 us, 1 share, 2 us, 1 share, 2 us, 1 share, so that you don't get lost in the process. Because it's not a connection. It's not a healthy relationship. So we're trying to go for that, if that makes sense. Any other questions? But the book is a great idea. It's an asset. It can build cement a lot of relationships. It builds a lot of authority. It's an amazing idea, and you should use it. Just it's got way more opportunities for use than maybe you had considered.
Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions, comments that they would like to talk about?
I have 4 minutes, so before or I have to go catch a fish. My son's trying to catch a fish a day for 7 days. Yesterday was day one. He caught 3. So, because the water is right out there. So I'm trying. Go.
On your slide where it was disconnect on the bottom, connect on top, board on bottom, what was on top of the board?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah. So B, when people are bored, if you are curious about stuff, you'll be very attractive to them.
Well, Geoff, I want to thank you for coming for the last hour, helping, answering questions, and enlightening us quite a bit on how to go get those golden nuggets and find those new clients, off-market clients or customers. So thank you very much, as always. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. This was recorded and will be posted online tomorrow for everyone to see. And please share it out to anybody. But Geoff, thank you.
Thank you. My privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.